Hi guys, so this week we're going to continue looking at the book Leon and the Place Between. So last week we left it with a point where Leon was thinking someone had been asked to go inside the box and he knew it had to be him. So looking at this image then, which is the next stage in the book, I just want you to think about what is happening. What impression do you get from this picture? Okay. Remember, as normal, when I am asking any questions, you need some time to answer them and think about them. Just pause and then you can unpause when you have gathered your thoughts. So looking at this picture here, we know that this is Leon and it looks like he's fallen. He's fallen and there's nothing around. Well, it's quite an open space, but we can see things like the birds, some like sparkles, almost like they look like stars, don't they? And then if we just look up here, there's a little window, almost like the great Abdul Kazam is looking down into the box at Leon as he sort of passes through. Okay, so the last page that we looked at was where we said the crowd was amazed. Then Abdul Kazam stepped aside and there was a door into a box. Who will step into the magic? Leon knew it had to be him. He stepped up to the stage and climbed into the box. There was a gasp from little Mo. The door shut behind him. Okay, so this is Leon going into the box, okay? So he was not aware of what was going to happen. So what we're going to do now is, before reading on and finding out what's going to happen while he's in the box, we are going to today plan a missing scene. And then from tomorrow and the day after, you are going to then use that plan to write your missing scene, okay? So you're used to planning when we are in class, and you will know that the more you plan, the more detail you put into your plan, the easier it will be for you when you come to write. And we will do a bit of an input on writing tomorrow, so don't worry about that. Okay, so we're going to have to think about what could happen, okay? We know that he said, trust nothing, okay? Believe in the magic. So what things could you see? So we're going to leave it quite open to you today. So how is he feeling when he steps into the box? Well, he said he knew it had to be him. So the fact that he'd stepped forward obviously shows us that he was a bit intrigued to find out what was going to happen inside the box. Does that mean that he doesn't seem nervous? If we go back to that, okay, he doesn't look very nervous. He looks puzzled. Maybe he's a bit apprehensive. Maybe he's a bit excited to see what was going on. He doesn't look particularly scared. And I think if he was particularly scared, then he wouldn't have put himself forward, would he? So I think the fact that he doesn't look very scared by looking at his face, and the fact that he stepped up and wanted to go in, he wasn't forced to go in, is a good thing, okay? So how do you think the other children are feeling? Well, if we go back to the other page before, it says that there was a gasp from little Mo. Now, we don't know the relationship between the children, okay? We could be guessing that little Mo was, as we gather from the fact that she's called Little Mo and the look of her, that she's the youngest of the children. Could she be Leon's sister? Okay. And if he's put himself forward without telling anybody, I'm sure that they're probably thinking, you know, he seems so fantastic, this magician, that the things that they've seen so far is amazing. And the fact that he's going into this box, they're probably feeling a little bit worried. The fact that they didn't put themselves forward makes us think that they're a little bit worried, and maybe they're not as keen for Leon to go in as he was. So there are lots of questions that we can be thinking about before we look at our planning, okay? Where's he going to go? Is he going to come back? What will happen to him? So they're the types of questions you need to think about today. We don't know where any of these, because we haven't read on, and that's the whole purpose of your task for today and going forward, is that you are going to use your fantastic imaginations, which we know you've got, to be able to plan the scene and think about what could happen. Remember, it is magic, so obviously it's going to be something that is beyond the normal of what you would expect. And from looking at that picture before, as we looked at from the start, this is where he's fallen to. We can see him fall, and if we look at there, he looks quite anxious about that, doesn't he? He's almost trying to hold on to something, clutching on maybe. He's fallen into an empty space, and he's wondering maybe where he's going to fall to. What's he going to land on? If he can't see the bottom, it can be quite scary, can't it? So what kinds of things do you think he might come across? when he is in there, okay? What's going to happen to him? Is he going to see anyone along the way? Is he going to meet any magical characters or have any sort of magical experiences? Okay, so this is the planning frame that you are going to get for you to do today. And I've just put some examples on here, okay? So first things first is we know he falls, okay? So what could he see as he's falling? Well, from looking at the picture that we saw then, he sees stars and like the galaxy, birds, hands that might try and, I was thinking they might try and grab him in. I feel like I'm picturing some kind of other movie that I might have seen that where it's a bit magical, where he's trying to grab them and he's maybe trying to dodge them, okay? How's he going to feel? Well, he said he's going to go into the box. He obviously knew that Abdul Kazam would have something in store for him, but I don't know whether he would have thought that he would fall in the way that he did. So he might be feeling a bit anxious at this point and not really sure what's going to happen. So he might be feeling a bit afraid, but also still a bit excited. For him to put himself forward in the first place tells us that he was quite an adventurous character. So maybe he was very prepared for it. So I presume he's got to land on something. So some of the ideas I had was maybe land on a flying carpet that will take him off somewhere else. Maybe a little lazy river. If you've ever been on one of those when you've been on holiday where you're on a little floating ring and it takes you around. Maybe because we can see stars around, he could land on a moon or a star. Okay. So, and then once he lands on these, some of the ideas I had from taking one of the things that he lands on, if he lands on a lazy river, what can he see? Like a purple lagoon, maybe the water around him is not normal to what we would usually see. Or if he does land on a moon or stars, or any of the other examples, you might see dazzling stars around, okay? How could he feel? He could feel himself gently drifting along the lazy river. Maybe as soon as he does land, he feels a sense of relief, that he feels much better. Then obviously, I thought that when he lands, obviously we need it to be some sort of exciting scene that you're going to include. I thought he could meet someone, so he could meet a genie, that's a magical creature, a talking bird, an acrobat from the circus maybe. And what might he see there? He might notice a glowing figure. I almost imagine him being on this lagoon, this lazy river, guiding himself along, and then seeing these hands coming down, these doves around him, these stars shining things. Then all of a sudden in front of him, he sees this glowing figure, this blue figure approaching him. Who's it going to be? And what might he say to that person? How did you get here? Did you go into the box as well? Have you always lived here? So they're just some things that you could look at today. Okay, so you're going to use your planning frame and come up with some great ideas. And then tomorrow, I'm going to bring you back to me to talk through what it is you have come up with, and then we'll start having a look at your writing. Okay, so good luck, and I can't wait to see some of these ideas in your writing this week.